So I want to talk about wheat. There's a book, it's a great book called The Wheat Belly. It's a New York Times bestseller, and this is what it says on the back. Did you know that eating 2 slices of whole wheat bread can increase your blood sugar more than 2 tablespoons of pure sugar cane? Well, what happens is that wheat is probably the #1 culprit, destroying more bodies than anything that I know about, including sugar. Um, the protein in wheat called gluten can act like a microbe, and that protein can create anything from celiac disease, which is a digestive thing, can destroy your intestines, to Crohn's, which is another digestive problem. All the itises, inflammation of arthritis, bursitis, tendonitis, psoriasis, skin problems, everything from allergies to ADDs to hyperactivity, massive blood sugar problems, diabetes. That's what wheat causes. Yet it's probably a food that on most plates, especially in the morning. So, and I'm talking about breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes. Those right there. Not that you eat those, but you probably know people who do. So, wheat has been destroyed as far as the grain itself in America. Long ago, we had in other countries where we imported or exported from, it was very high in protein. And now they modified it and they did hybrids to make it very high in carbohydrates, to make it easy to put in dough, to make all sorts of flour and pastries and things like that. So we really changed that product, starting out as being a good product, to a very unhealthy product. And I think our bodies have rejected it by creating allergies and inflammation. So all those symptoms are a way of your body trying to tell you, don't eat it. Now, grain is the seed of a grass, okay? So in that seed, what we do is we grind it down into flour. That's what we make breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, and biscuits and things like that from. If you expose the grain to oxygen, you destroy a lot of the nutrients. In fact, pretty much everything within 6 days. Most of the flour on the shelf has been sitting on there for months and months. Now, if we take it on the other side to white bread, what they did is they put bleach in it. And bleach, that's like pretty toxic to the pancreas. There's been studies to show that when you put bleach in flour and you feed it to animals, they get diabetes. So what they do is they spray some synthetic vitamins and tell you that's fortified, but it's all synthetic. Okay, so when you consume refined flour, you can end up depleting those original nutrients that were supposed to be in there. So that's what happens. So if flour normally had potassium or B vitamins, then you would create a B vitamin and potassium deficiency as you eat that food. I remember when I got married, we went out to shop for these cakes for the wedding. And don't ask me why, but we started shopping and eating all these cakes all day long, and I'm going, what are we doing? We're gonna have like a major blood sugar. So it was just flour and water all day long. And then we ended up at an Italian restaurant, and I consumed massive quantities of pizza and pasta and bread, all this refined flour. When I went to bed that night, I couldn't even sleep because I felt my pulse just pounding in my ear. Boom, 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 boom. The heart was working harder. That was a potassium deficiency. So I literally created a potassium deficiency by consuming that type of food. It took me a couple days to kind of put the potassium back. So it can be very depleting with potassium and the B vitamins, which are designed to actually help your heart. Okay? So if you take grain and you sprout it, like an Ezekiel bread or a sprouted bread, it's much, much better, okay, because it's higher in protein. But most breads out there are very, very high glycemic, so they turn to sugar very rapidly. So wheat has the capacity to either kill you or create a disease, or it has the capacity to heal you, depending on the form that it's in. So recently, I was very interested in searching out for something to align with my principle of getting people healthy. And I knew that that comes from food. So I asked the question, what food has the highest nutrition. So I started looking into what we could use even in my own clinic to heal people faster. And believe it or not, I found wheatgrass is incredible as far as the nutrient density in there. And specifically wheatgrass juice. Ann Whitmore had clinics, cancer clinics for years, and she wrote a book on how wheatgrass can really heal your body. And she talked about her success with diabetes and ulcers and people that are really sick. So I was very interested in getting some wheatgrass. So what I did is I started buying different samples of wheatgrass, and they have two different kinds, wheatgrass powder and wheatgrass juice powder. The difference is the juice powder is very, very concentrated. So I started trying this out, and I found a company that really impressed me. And what they did was they grew the wheatgrass on a different type of soil, a soil that was over the salt beds in Utah, where they had the ancient seabeds, where they had all the sea minerals and the sea salt minerals. So that gave the wheatgrass the chance to pull from the earth all the 74 trace minerals that it needed. So I started giving it to my staff, including myself, and I was just amazed how fast it worked and how good it made you feel. I mean, you will not need coffee when you drink this stuff or when you put it in water. So the reason why it's so healthy is that when you take a grain and you start sprouting it into a little grass, you release 1,400 times the nutrition than the actual seed contained. So check this out. These are two types of wheatgrass juice powder. One is grown on very, very healthy soils, and the other one is grown on soils that are not really that great. And you can see the difference between color and texture. The one that's very nutrient dense is dark green. When you drink this, you're going to get a lot more nutrition because you don't lose any of the nutrition and you get all the trace minerals. Now, 1 teaspoon of raw wheatgrass juice powder is equivalent to 1.5 pounds of organic vegetables. So it is super concentrated. It's like drinking liquid sunshine. So here we have the grain of the wheatgrass, which actually causes disease, terrible obesity. And over here we have the grass of the grain, which has been known to cure disease, help you lose weight, and get you incredibly healthy. Fascinating. So here's what I recommend. If you want to try some, only take 1 teaspoon a day in the morning, not before you go to sleep, because you're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to find that you're not going to need coffee when you take this, but take 1 teaspoon in the morning, and I would recommend either putting it in water and mixing it up and dissolving it, or putting it in your kale shake that you should be taking right now. And that way you will add an additional 1.5 pounds of vegetables, the nutrition of that many vegetables, in a very small container.